Sometime within the next minute or so, somewhere on the planet, another big idea is being born. It might be a new song, a new product, who knows? And who knows how to make this idea grow and introduce it to the world? Let's find out. Welcome to The Next Big Idea with your host, Peter Gantner. The program is sponsored by Kula Brands, dedicated to help with branding, funding, and marketing the next big idea. And if that idea is yours, you want to pay particular attention to the particulars. Peter and his co-hosts and guests will explain just how it's done. If you happen to be an investor or just an interested party, you could benefit from the efforts of Kula Brands. You could become a part of their community of folks who want to help others and make money in the process. If that sparks your curiosity or wets your whistle, sit up and take notice. Kula Brands presents Peter Gantner and his guests on The Next Big Idea.
Hey everybody, this is Peter Gantner, your host of The Next Big Idea. And of course, I have my world globally famous co-host, Deborah Caswell and Corey Moran. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, doing great. Really excited about this topic we're on today, Peter.
Yeah, man, doing great. Great to be here.
Oh my goodness, and do we have a full house of guests today? We have Mr. Carter, Tammy Funshine Sawyer, Steve Canellis, and Rhonda Benbow. Say hi, guys.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Be here.
Happy to be here.
Wow, we're gonna have a great show today. This is a kind of a carry forward of our discussion about businesses, because this is an entrepreneur show, the next big idea, and the use of PPE. And I've got some pretty tough questions today, and we're going to kick it off with this, guys. So there's a segment of the population that says, look, I don't need PPE. This is a hoax. It's crazy. It's not really happening. Or maybe they're a little bit more to the other middle part of it where it's happening, but, it's not going to get me. And then we have the far side of this. People that don't want to even leave their house. They're wiping down their packages. They're afraid of, even leaving their homes. And they think that being shut down till maybe August or September or something may be the answer to this. So, guys, I want to jump right into your thoughts on that part of it. And I think I'm kind of more in the middle of this. We do need to get our businesses back open. We need to figure out ways to do it safely. I mean, and this is really bad, guys. There was a security guard at a store, I believe it was in Michigan, and he told the people to wear their mask. And of course, they said no. They left the store. They came back and actually shot him and killed him over this situation. So there's a lot of stuff going on this, and businesses are going to have to open up. So let's talk about that real quick. Anybody have anything that they want to, any feedback on that?
Yes, I'll start off by saying there are many different emotions at play here. From people feeling like their rights are being taken away from them, to the people that feel threatened, with their health because other people are being frivolous about it. And, the violence that's started to happen is just really shocking to me. You usually can't shock me, but I'm shocked that somebody would actually drive back to a store to shoot a security guard because he was trying to keep people safe. So my point being that we need to rein in our emotions, be thoughtful about this process, and all work together to come up with solutions.
Well, and go ahead, Deb. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I completely agree. I think it's all about, no matter what you believe to be true about the situation, what we're finding is that the virus really doesn't seem to care about that. So I think it's more important that people kind of take a step back, take a breath, and think about, how can I be respectful? How can I be kind? Right? And so one way, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask, but be respectful and keep your distance from other people, right? I think it's all about having respect and thinking about the other person around you first. It's about putting others first is where I feel we all need to go.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
The other perspective is that it almost doesn't matter what I believe. If I have a small business I need to get open, I need to figure out what my customers believe. What is the community that I'm serving? Where are their heads at? And I need to meet their expectations, even, and almost put my own feelings aside. So maybe I don't think I need to wear a mask, but yet everyone around me is concerned. Well, then I need to wear a mask because I want my customers back. I need to make my customers comfortable in my business, and whatever that takes. And then in my personal time, I could do whatever I need to, but I want to get my doors open. So I need to think about how to do that, how to make my customer
And you
comfortable.
don't want a customer that is a good customer of yours. Maybe they've been doing business for you for years. They would like, they won't do business with you because you're not using the safety equipment. So you lose that customer to someone else, right? And I would think that more or less, I haven't gone into a store and said, oh, those people are wearing masks, I'm not going to do business with them. But if a person whose health is worried about the disease, they would probably walk in and say, hey, they don't have masks on, I'm leaving. So I think you're better to err on the side of safe, of having your employees making it available, all the equipment. Go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah, so, and I have to say that, like, I definitely agree with everything everyone else is saying, but in the sense of, like, someone in my line of business, no matter what my beliefs are, I am in the medical field, and being a massage therapist and an esthetician, one of my licensing board is under the Board of Nursing, and we have to set the example. And especially, I can't social distance in my line of work. I'm right on top of a person. Like if I'm doing a facial, there's no way I can be 6 feet away from their face. In a massage, if they're 6 feet long, if I'm at the feet, I could definitely be 6 feet away from their face. But so in order to make them feel comfortable, to make them not just feel safe, but to be safe, we have to set the standard. We need to be wearing the masks. We need to be making sure all of our sanitation is up to par. And even like with taking temperatures, making people feel, like, hey, I'm coming into a place and they really care about my health more than they ever did before this pandemic. And so I'd have to say, this is a way of life now. And until the virus goes away or there's more vaccines or antibodies or medications that can help it, from a business standpoint, this is the right thing to do, and it's the thing that we need to do.
I think Tammy may have hit on the next big idea: a 6 foot away facial and massage, right? Come
Yeah.
on, invent a product or something, some device that you can stand 6 feet away and give a massage, right?
I was wondering if she could massage with her feet.
Well, you can, yeah. It's
Okay.
a procedure called ashiatsu.
Okay, well, I think you need to maybe pull on that thread a little bit
But
more.
would you have to be 6 feet tall? So you're 6 feet away, right? Your head is 6 feet away from
Yeah,
the
and I'm nowhere near 6 feet tall, so I would never be able to be totally 6 feet away.
Well, guys, we're here talking about PPE, and of course, the business that we're talking about is PPE Get Now.com, and we're supplying businesses with PPE. And some of our people that are out promoting it have been putting up posts and actually getting some very negative feedback, right? Actually being attacked. We should be giving this stuff away. How dare we, sell these type of things? But I got to tell you guys, there's 27 daycare centers that are going to be opening on the 14th because their government, it's in Canada, has required that they take the temperature of all the children when they drop them off on the beginning of the day. So they were not able to open if they did not have forehead thermometers. You can't find them anywhere. So we were able to provide those. Just got another business. They want 250 thermometers. Why? So they can get their facilities and their businesses open. So there is two sides to this equation. One is, what people believe. The other is what is being required by cities, states, the federal government in order for these businesses to get open, get back in business, and get our economy rolling. I got to tell you, there's a lot of stuff out there right now of this quarantining. You know, everybody thinks, okay, we got to quarantine so we can stay safe. But I just saw a report that domestic violence is up dramatically. And there's been over a dozen people killed, right, in these domestic violent situations that might have not happened, but because of the fact that you have two people together in a volatile, a matter of fact, there's a lot of stress in relationships right now, because people having to spend way more time together, you know, and getting on each other's nerves. Have any of you guys experienced any of that stuff, or any of those, not the domestic violence side, but I mean, spending more time maybe, and Deb, maybe with the kids, right? I mean, normally they would go to school, you would have your break time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with the kids, it's hard, man. I feel like I'm pulling my hair out, and I don't want to feel that way. But I work from home. I've been very used to having an empty house when I'm trying to get my work done, and I've got them constantly needing a snack, needing schooling, needing just. It's very, very stressful. Yes, it is. I do appreciate some of the moments that we get to have together. But again, because I have a job where I'm working full-time, beyond full-time, it has been more stress than it's been fun, to be really honest.
Yeah, because you're working with a startup, right? And startups take a lot of effort, a lot of time, more than a traditional job would, and essentially.
Yes.
Well, guys, we are coming up on the end of this segment. We're going to be back. This is a pretty deep subject, especially where we're at right now with this whole pandemic, and when to open, when not to open, what, you know, products and tools to be used. We'll be back after the break.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on The Next Big Idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. You may have heard Jackie Simmons on Better Living Radio. If so, you know that she's full of sage advice and fun ways to view the world that keep your stress levels under control. You may not know that Jackie also offers webinars and trainings on timely topics that touch the most important and sensitive areas of our lives. For your business, there's how to sell with confidence and ease, and the 4 keys of effective public speaking. Both are jam-packed with the tools you need to be seen, be heard, and be profitable. Bringing it closer to home, Jackie shares what she's learned as the mother of a teen suicide attempt survivor in How to End the Teen Suicide Epidemic. In this presentation, Jackie shares the 6 key indicators that your loved one may be at risk, and the 6 simple steps anyone can take to mitigate that risk. To see what's coming next and save your seat, visit mindsetseminars.com. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Well, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
Peter Gantner back with The Next Big Idea. And of course, today we're talking with a panel of entrepreneurs, business owners, concerned citizens about PPE and about businesses getting back open, getting things going again, whether it be daycare centers, of course, restaurants. You know, some of the states are starting to open. Some of the states are talking about not reopening until July, August, September. But, you know, and we're going to see here over the next 3 to 4 or 5 weeks how that's going to affect. Let me ask you guys this question. So once places get opened back up, what do you think is going to be? I mean, if cases, of course, some cases are going to go up, right? People are now around each other more. They're getting out. What do you think is a level? And I would think that if they double or triple the number of cases coming in, then maybe we need to adjust or change something. But what do you guys think? 10, 20, 50% increase in the number of cases? What do you guys think is acceptable? And this is just your personal opinion.
That is a tough one, because it takes a couple of weeks for this to take hold, right? When you are exposed, you may be walking around for 2 weeks not feeling well. So, geez, I would say 30 to 40% spike. You got to start slowing it down again, scale it back, and you know, look at the businesses that are having the greatest amount of exposure and get them to ease back on the number of customers they serve. Maybe not shut down completely, but ease back on their hours that they're open, or ease back on the number of people that they can serve, so that we're not doing this complete shutdown, but that we're able to sort of ebb and flow with this as it goes. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, that is a tough question, Peter. I don't know that I know the numbers or have numbers in mind, but you know, I just continue to think about you know, my grandparents and Rhonda's and Steve's and parents, right? I mean, my mom, I think about her all the time, and I hope that she will stay back and choose not to do some of the things that she liked to do before. Because there's so much of it out there walking around now. And the thing is, Rhonda said it takes sometimes a couple weeks for you to see, you know, have the symptoms. Well, so many people don't have symptoms and they don't realize they're carriers and they're carrying it around. And that's why I think it's so important that if you're going to be out, just wear a mask, wash your hands, stay back, do what you can do to help Rhonda's great aunt, right? Do what you can to help somebody else's people, right? I think that's the important part.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, rather than put a number on it, my thought is if we can keep that number as low as possible. We're talking about PPE here, and really, rather than talk about the number of people that are getting sick, the number of people that might die, I'm thinking along the terms of the number of businesses and individuals that will take it to a level of, let's keep the number down because we are acquiring these masks and wearing these masks. And, you know, we're all focused on how many people became infected, how many people have passed away, what the percentages are. And those are going to be whatever they end up being in the end of this whole pandemic. But what we should be focused on are the solutions, on, you know, the things that we can do to make those numbers as minimal as possible.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, this show is the next big idea. You know, we would have never thought of a pandemic. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article that there was actually a pandemic in the 60s when Woodstock was there. There was a pretty severe pandemic that I've never even heard of, right? Of course, I was only a few years old, right? I was like 4 years old, but it was just kind of skipped over. I was reading a whole story about that whole type of a thing. But through this, there's going to be a lot of innovation, guys. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to figure out better ways for us to operate and function, new equipment. There was one on Kickstarter, right? It looks like you're going out into outer space, right? But they've developed an entire hood to go over your head, right? So innovation, of course, we were joking in the last segment about a 6 foot away facial or a massage. You know, who knows what type of innovation could take place? Could someone build a machine that where you have your hands in over here and you have a, you know, kind of a dummy face there and you're moving it, and then there's some little, you know, hands that are, you know, following along, right, with you, right?
Well, Peter, there's actually technology out there that works with quantum physics that has been shown, because everything vibrates at a frequency, just like a opera singer, a soprano can shatter a glass. There have been, you know, since Royal Raymond Rife created the Rife machine, and even back in 2008 at I believe it was the University of Arizona, there was a couple of scientists featured there where they were using sound waves to shatter viruses. So there are technologies out there that will do that. I actually have a Rife machine, and I have, like, with the sound frequency tuner that we have with Remax, I've been experimenting with that, and it's a couple other things, because really what everything comes down to with health is what your cells are doing, because your cells are your smallest functional unit of life. And if we can have the best cellular health, whether it's through nutrition, whether we're using vibrational therapy, it can help us, you know, when we're faced with viruses and bacteria and things like that. And I've been trying to come up with ways that I can utilize some of these type of technologies in my office to possibly make clients feel safer, like do an energy add-on where we're doing some type of cellular vibration while they're getting a massage or while they're getting a facial. So even though I have a UVC air purifier running in the background and I'm wearing a facial mask, they'll feel even more safer knowing that their immune function could get. So thinking, since this pandemic started, just like you're saying, solutions. And I definitely have to say I agree with Deb and Rhonda on their views, and definitely with Steve on his views, because everybody has different views, and we got to figure out how to make everything safe and how to get people back to life.
Yeah, and there is a lot of work being done in that area, Tammy, with the vibrations. And there's a medical group right now here in Arizona that is talking about they're using some type of signal to create antibodies in people that did not even have the coronavirus, right? So they're isolating, figuring out what those are. They send frequencies into your body. It tells your body that you had the coronavirus, even though you never had it. It helps create the antibodies, which would prevent people from doing that. So we've got the future coming forward, guys. I don't know if we took a snapshot of today and then, put it in a capsule 10 years from now, we open it up. They always had the movies where like the Jetsons and these type of things. We're supposed to be more advanced than we are, right? According to the people that wrote that type of materials and stuff, right? We're supposed to be in flying cars and who knows what else that we're supposed to have already, according to the movies and the stuff that's been created. But I got to tell you, it is speeding up, especially with artificial intelligence. And I know that's not what this show is about, but with AI, the speed at which things get developed will increase dramatically. And I believe we're about ready to hit into a whole new frontier when it comes to vibrations and those type of things for healing, for mental health, for all different types of things. But we'll have to save that for another show. So let me ask you this question, guys, on yourself. When going to a business, you're getting ready to go in. Do you right now? Do you have hesitation if the employees are not using PPE, utilizing it? Is there any hesitation or no hesitation? Go ahead. Let's go through the panel.
I think there's a lot of hesitation on my part. And when I was listening to Tammy talk about this technology that she has, and she's got this cleanser that's cleaning the air, blah, blah, blah. I want to see that information right in the window of a business that says we're doing A, B, C, D, to protect you. And I'm going to feel real comfortable walking through your door if I see that, hey, you guys are taking you're taking me seriously, then I'm all in. So the more confident we can feel before we even touch that door handle and think, ooh, then the more I think customers are going to come back to your business.
Well, and for the businesses out there, right? The great way to get this out there is social media, right? Utilizing your social media to let your customers know what it is that you're doing to protect them and to be part of the solution. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, it's like I'm sorry. It's like the other day, I'm going to the grocery store and I see people that are designated just for cleaning and wiping things down, like the carts, practically any surface, and there are more opportunities around the store for areas to use hand sanitizer or grab a wipe to wipe off your phone or the cart. And the plexiglass between the customer and the cashier. I was in a small convenience store in my neighborhood. I never would have thought that they would have taken the extra measures because, I just didn't think they would. But I walk into there, they have a designated person to clean. And also when I got up to the counter, I noticed the plexiglass there and the people were wearing masks and they were wearing gloves. And I just felt a little more comfortable being in there. And, the offering of PPE right now, I mean, I run into people all the time and they just don't know where to get it and they need it.
We're going to have to get back into that, Mark, at the end of this segment. We're coming to the end of it. And yes, a lot of plexiglass. If you're in the plexiglass business, you're probably doing well. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
So are you wondering where the next big idea will come from? Well, you'll hear about it first here at Better Living Radio. See, this is the show called The Next Big Idea. Maybe you got the next big idea, or maybe you just like to make some money from it. Peter Gantner will explain when we come back on Better Living Radio.
A health threat anywhere is a health threat everywhere. I'm Dr. Phil. A new coronavirus outbreak called COVID-19 started in China and is spreading to many countries, including the U.S. It's critical to get the facts about how to protect our friends and loved ones. While CDC is working with states and communities to stop the spread of the virus, health workers and emergency response efforts need our support. The CDC Foundation, a nonprofit organization, is focusing on immediate and critical needs that help protect our communities here at home and those around the world. We can all play a role in stopping this deadly virus. Get updates, learn how to protect your friends and family, and find out how to help. Go to cdcfoundation.org. That's cdcfoundation.org. Together, our impact is greater.
This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the CDC Foundation.
I was 35 when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. My ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me. I felt hopeless. He called Elite Rehab Placement because I couldn't make the call. I was ashamed. I was given skills to manage my sadness and my anger, and more importantly, I'm 3.5 years sober. I'm so grateful for all their help. And all it took was making one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. That's 800-918-1376.
Welcome back to Better Living Radio and this amazing idea for a radio show. It's called The Next Big Idea. Rather ironic, wouldn't you say? Hey, if you've got an idea, you might want to talk with host Peter Gantner or one of his guests here at Better Living Radio. Look, here they come now.
We're back, guys, with the whole PPE thing, should or should not, or what is it? Kind of like we can use a little Shakespearean here. Should we or should we not, right? Move forward. And of course, I think being a business owner myself, you really want to serve your customers. And so if there are a portion of your customers that have a fear or have a desire to feel safe, then you as a business owner have a responsibility to make sure that you do that. Because again, you don't want to lose a portion of your customers because you're not doing something that should be done. So Mark, you were talking about the great plexiglass race, right? I mean, now all of a sudden, plexiglass everywhere. You know, I was looking at over in China, or I believe it was somewhere in Asia, but they built, in some restaurants, they built complete plexiglass booths around the tables. And I was thinking, would I really go into a restaurant, then go into this little plexiglass booth, and that's where I'm eating? What are your guys' thoughts about that? You know, being completely surrounded by plexiglass in a restaurant.
It'd probably keep your food pretty warm.
I did see a
outside.
I did see a booth where they had plexiglass between the people eating, and I thought that was a little odd. But I don't know. I don't know what I feel about that. I just think.
No, I think that's fine that's perfect for a first date, right? You don't know each other very well. I mean, people trying to date in this pandemic. Like, how do you do that? I think the plexiglass between you is probably a really good idea.
And maybe a little tint on the plexiglass too. You could
Tease it out so I look younger. Yeah.
I think for me, I think really ultimately through this whole conversation is we need to be smart, obviously, and whoever it is we're talking about, customers, clients, ourselves, businesses, just do the right thing. You know what I mean? And like if we're wanting to get back to life after the pandemic, and if we're wanting to get businesses back up and running, if we're wanting to create incomes and all of that, you know, why not take the PPE measures? And I'm with Peter. Like Peter, you said at the beginning, you're kind of in the middle of the road. I understand, both sides of rights and what we need to do, but ultimately, I'm thinking as a human race, I'd like to think bigger and, continuing on life after the pandemic. I think we got to give and take a little bit here and make, just make it happen.
Yeah, on the human side of that, people are going without income right now, and tensions are high. People are cooped up in their houses with, more time with their immediate family than they normally would spend. And so when I go out in the public, I just have to keep that in mind. I have no idea what the next person's going through. So I've exercised a lot of extra patience on my end, just to, give people leeway, let them go in line, just being a little extra nice, because it's a tough time for a lot of people. People aren't making it. They're not paying their rent or their mortgage, and they're not paying their light bill or cell phone bills. So it's stressful. And so I think anything we can do to help alleviate some of that stress, it's all on us to do that.
Well, guys, and again, this is my opinion. We cannot stay shut down for much longer, right? The financial devastation will continue to pile on. I mean, I just saw this morning the government's talking about another $3 trillion. So we've already spent $3 trillion. We're getting ready to spend another $3 trillion. That's $6 trillion. That's being added to our deficit, guys, because there's less revenue coming in right now because of a lot of the businesses that are shut down and that. So at some point we have to get open. And my opinion on this, guys, is that even if you are not maybe a believer in this, the whole thing, right? If you're right, great. But if you're wrong, that's where the problem comes in. Because if you're wrong and it does come back again and we have to shut back again, right? So what are we really talking about? Wearing a mask, staying 6 feet away, being just conscious about washing your hands. We're not talking about, anything that's gigantic. So again, I like to look at things in an area of, if I'm right, what's the impact of that? But if I'm wrong, what's the impact? And in this case, if you're wrong and you're on the side of it's not a big deal, it could have a detrimental impact. If you're somebody who's being safe and you're wrong, probably less of an impact on that. Go ahead, Tammy, you have something?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with where you are. While everyone was talking about the plexiglass thing, and you were wondering like how can you do a 6-foot facial or massage, I was going to add that, and I know you guys can see this while I'm talking, there's been some innovation in the aesthetic industry. They've taken a plexiglass and made this like shield that we can look through, but it's kind of over the person's face and we can fit our hands in it. So like doing a facial or doing a massage, they're making these barriers. Now, I don't know whether or not our government is going to, or like in my state, I don't know if they're going to require this. I've heard that we may have to wear a medical shield as well as our face mask. But there are companies out there making, looking for solutions to get everyone back to work, because just as much as the health devastation, like, what you were saying and what Mark was saying, the financial devastation is hard on a lot of people. I can say I'm very thankful for having, all the little side resources I have and being entrepreneurial minded, because my client base started falling off before we were ordered to shut down. And I had already rescheduled a lot of my clients because I see a lot of clients with autoimmune conditions. And even though, I sanitize and practice things in my office, I know people were starting to feel very, concerned about even just coming out in the coronavirus. So I definitely want to be a part of the solution and help people feel safe and get back out here and, educate them on what PPEs are and how they can use it on their regular life and how they can use it when coming to work. And just doing whatever we got to do to make it a solution.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so with these times, even though there's a lot of hard stuff going on, there will be a lot of innovation that will come out of this. I actually believe that the health field could take some pretty giant leaps here, right? Because all of a sudden we weren't really worried about it. We were just going about our lives. And now all of a sudden there's a massive amount of funding for some of these viral things. I believe there's a company out there, I can't remember the name of it, but they're working on a vaccine that would essentially be good for all of the coronaviruses, right? Not just COVID-19, but for all of them. It would be a one time. So if another one pops up, this vaccine would actually work on all types of them. So instead of going to the particulars of the virus, they're going to the base of the virus to destroy it, right? So the commonality in all of the coronaviruses and not their unique markers or indicators that are out there. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Tammy, when you were talking about the barrier and the device that you'd seen that would potentially could help, I saw what would make me feel really comfortable in going to the hair salon. You know, you have this, you want to connect with people. You want to see their face. You want to see their smile. You want to see their eyes. And I'm like, well, maybe the face shields that some of the healthcare workers use could be an excellent way for some businesses that are very hands-on-ish, if you will, rather than a face mask, which covers, you know, your smile and your ability to communicate. You do that face shield that you've got full visibility. Because it's a weird thing when you look at folks and they've got a face mask on, you don't know like what they're really thinking, and you can't see. I've asked people, I'm sorry, what did you say? Because I'm used to almost reading their lips, right? And so I'm like, maybe face masks or face shields could be a far more effective way to provide confidence and still be very approachable and personable and allow personality and conversation and all of that in a service business where you're face to face, hand to hand, you know, whatever.
Go ahead, Steve.
So I'm sitting here listening to all of this, and I'm thinking about back when restaurants used to have a separate smoking section. And I'd like to ask all the people that are out there listening to think about that and remember how you felt when you went into a restaurant that did have smokers inside versus, you know, the restaurants of today that don't allow any smokers. And how many of you would not go into a restaurant today if they did have smokers inside, or even if they had a smoking section? And then the flip side of that is, will we start to see businesses have a section for people without masks or people that are not as serious about this until we get further down the line and the numbers start dwindling? So there's the thought process. What are your thoughts?
Well, Steve, never mind smoking in restaurants. I know that on airplanes, I always got put in the first row of the non-smoking row, right? So it's like, wait a minute, there's no better. I might as well be in the smoking section, right? Anybody else have that happen to them?
Oh yeah, I remember flying as a kid. They had smoking. I flew random all the time to fly out to West Texas to my grandparents, and they had smoking back then. And it's like I still remember the tops of the plane inside being a little yellow tinted. It was horrible.
We're coming up on the end of this segment, guys. But I mean, would we have a section in a restaurant where these are for the people that believe in that the virus is important, and the other side are for the people that want to be safer? We'll be back after the break with that question.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back. You've heard it said right here, you can't move gigantic boulders unless you've got some kind of leverage. You know, like a crowbar positioned in just the right spot. With enough leverage, you can multiply your strength and move mountains. The idea applies to investing too. Think of it. How'd you like to own companies like Roku or MasterCard or Raytheon and put down as little as 10% to unlock the treasure chest of unlimited upside gains while drastically reducing your risk, and do it all with zero borrowing cost? You just need that leverage. and a little know-how. So Dan Frischberg and the entire Money Man team are making that possible. They're handing you your very own investment crowbar in special step-by-step, click-by-click instructional videos called the Layaway Option Service. It's for beginners and pros alike. Look, if you want to make real money, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. It's your chance to see the results for yourself. The cost is next to nothing, and look what's waiting for you. Generally, you'll get 3 detailed trades each week, quality, actionable trades. You get detailed instructions on buying and selling specific put and call options. The Layaway Option Service shares specific underlying stocks, expiration dates, strike prices, and shows you how much money you could make instantly. It's Dan Frischberg's proven money-making discipline that over 50 years has made a lot of people rich. Lots of other benefits are waiting for you too, along with these special step-by-step, click-by-click instructional videos. The Layaway Option Service. Too much to detail here, but it's all right there at themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com. Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Oh, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
We are back, guys, and right before the break, Steve brought up about smoking sections and non-smoking sections in restaurants, and the thought came to me, would we have different sections in restaurants or maybe different entrances to businesses? These are the people that are worried about the virus, and these are the people that are not so worried about it. What are your guys' thoughts on that from a business perspective and from a whole PPE side of things?
Well, I would have to say that, like even being in a restaurant, you can't really eat with your face mask on. So there would definitely have to be more social distancing type barriers, unless people were just constantly pulling their face mask up and down to eat or drink. So I think that's why a lot of the restaurants are going to like the plexiglass barriers, something they can easily sanitize and wipe down in between people. Because there are going to be, both groups, people that don't really take it serious and people who are very serious about it. So I think we're probably, in the beginning, at least going to see more social distancing and plexiglass and other types of sanitation procedures. I mean, I know like when you guys were talking about smoking, I mean, I'm allergic to smoke, so I try not to go into places that didn't have fresh air that I could breathe. But I mean, I would not go into a restaurant if I saw people without face masks, because I would be expecting no one would be wearing them while they were eating. Maybe the servers have them on, but that would be my point of view on it.
Well, I think one of the questions you bring up there, a restaurant running at a 25 or 50% capacity, can they even stay in business running at a 25 or 50% capacity? If a restaurant's only making maybe 10, 15% profit margin, let's say they're doing $1 million a year, so they're making $150,000 a year at full capacity, could they even run and stay in business if they're only able to serve 25% of their customers sitting down in a restaurant? And the other side of it is and let me ask this question. How many of you guys will feel comfortable going into a restaurant? What is it going to take to get you to go, you know what, I'm ready to go sit down in a restaurant and eat at a place? I've gotten used to going and getting my food now, right? Even at the places that normally you couldn't take food away. Do we become more where we're eating at home more and we go out to, does this completely change the phenomena in the US of people going out and eating at restaurants all the time? Go ahead, Tammy.
Listen, I don't think so. I miss being able to go down and just sit somewhere different that's not my house. I'm just as much introvert as I am extrovert. So a lot of times when I would get done working, if I wanted to meet someone and have lunch or dinner, or a lot of times I like to just go sit and eat and like write down my ideas or recap my things for the day, because I'm always carrying my notebook and stuff around with me. And I like just kind of having my own little space and like being able to be away from home and away from my business. So I'm looking forward to being able to go back into places and be able to sit down, or even able to shop. You know, I wanted to get a book from Barnes and Nobles yesterday, and they do curbside. You can't even stand on the sidewalk and have them walk it out to you. You have to be in your car, and they put it in your back passenger window. So I miss being able to go into places and actually physically look or physically interact with people. So I'm looking forward to the world opening back up.
Yeah, on that side too of going to places, you know, I've been hypersensitive now to what are considered local places. You know, I just didn't realize all that was around me that were mom and pop shops that I just bypassed because I'm headed to, you know, a larger big box store to get something. And so I've been a little more cognizant to stop and, you know, give those guys my business. And so that part's been enlightening to me, because as well as I thought I knew my neighborhood, I didn't know it as well as I thought I did. So that's been pretty interesting in my end.
Awesome. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I for myself, when I think about going into a restaurant, there's a place on 101 in Encinitas, and the tables are so close together, you can barely, you know, squeeze into the chair. Obviously, that's got to change, and they've got to, you know, spread some tables out and give you a little bit of breathing space. And if they would do that in that particular restaurant, for instance, if they would take, you know, 30% of their tables away, I would probably give them I'd probably take a look at it and go, yeah, okay, yeah. And because I also believe that the business owner, by making that type of change, is making other adjustments as well. And so it's maybe there's a hand sanitizing station at the door, so when you walk in, you can sanitize your hands. We know when you go to the doctor, he washes his hands. You know, the nurse, they come in, they wash hands. That's the type of thing that in a restaurant or in shops, making that type of activity really obvious and evident, just almost over advertising the fact that you are taking cleanliness, like Mark was saying, you know, a separate person who's wiping things down and keeping
the question. You have now restaurants that are going to be at lower capacity. Yeah. What if they need to raise their prices 20%?
I was thinking the same thing here. I'm like, prices are going to go up, and because I mean the margins in restaurants is slim at best anyway. So I think we're going to see prices go up.
Any other thoughts? What about the servers, guys, being able to serve maybe less people, right? Because now they have to do maybe more in between. Okay, I got to go wash my hands. I got to go do this. Maybe there's a slowdown in that process. So maybe instead of me being able to do 10 tables and make my $40 tip, let's say it's a nice restaurant, and bring in my $400 a night as a waiter, maybe now I'm only able to do 7 or 6 tables. And of course, prices going up 25%. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Let me ask you this question. Let's say it this way. What are you guys willing to do financially to keep safe and protect yourself, right? Are we willing to pay more money? Are we willing to do less? Can I get some feedback on that from you guys as individuals?
I'm going to tip way more in the service industry when I see them going through the motions and making sure that they're keeping my health in mind. Well, I don't think their tips will go down.
What I keep thinking about is many in our workforce are out of jobs right now. So there's a lot of people that don't have the extra money to do the extra tipping and to purchase the foods in the restaurant at the higher price. I mean, this is a long-term issue that we have, that it's going to be very interesting to watch how this works out over the next couple of months.
Well, I think a lot of it's going to be is how much risk do we as people want to take, how fast we get back to work again, right? How fast we get back to things. I mean, I've been to New York City quite a few times. I mean, in their restaurant industry, because of real estate prices, you're sitting on top of each other, right? I mean, I've sat at tables with people that were not with me because they're right next to it. If you guys have ever gone to Carnegie Deli, right? They don't have individual tables. They stick you at a table, and you can't even sit there if you're not going to eat something. Like you can't sit there with 5 people who are eating that because of the rents and that type of thing. So there's going to be some major adjustments out there in our lives that we're going to need to make. But again, how fast this recovers on the economic side, the U.S. economy is, I believe, a little over 20 trillion a year. Right now, we've been shut down for 2 months. And let's say that we've been 35% off on the economy. That's about $700-800 million in lost revenue, maybe maybe $1 trillion in lost revenue. But I want you guys to think about this. The government has put nearly $3 trillion additional dollars in. So if you subtract the trillion we've lost, or let's say $1.5 trillion, and you've put in $3 trillion, is there not more money in the economy today than there would have been if we just would have run on another economy? What effect does that have on us? We're the next big idea. I want you guys to think about that. They're talking about dumping another $3 trillion. Is it going to take time for the economy to recover, or does it recover much faster because there's more capital in the marketplace? Anyway, I've been wanting to say that somewhere for the last few weeks because I've been, it's like in my brain, wait a minute, $1.5 trillion, $3 trillion, the number's actually to the positive side of it. But again, we'll have to see how that comes out. So guys, we're down to the last minute. Any last thoughts on, of course, PPE Get Now, protection in businesses? We got time for one person to give us their comments.
Well, before I give you my comment on that, I wanted to go back to, you asked the question about, can businesses survive on 50%? Small restaurants and businesses like that, the individual mom and pop businesses, I think are going to have a real hard time. So we as a community and as a society need to be aware of that. Their prices will go up because they'll have to make more money, but they will also go up because of the higher price of food supplies. There are things going on in that industry. So we're in for uncertain times. And as a last thought, I would just have everyone out there think about what they can do to keep their small business in their local town in business until we make it through and that big surplus.
And guys, that is our show today. Remember, opportunity, uncertain times create opportunity. Go out and pursue your next big idea.
Did you ever imagine that these little inventions like radio and the internet, that there was a time when they were considered the next big idea? And yet, here you are today having just heard a program called The Next Big Idea. Peter Getner is your host. He's one of the founders of Kula Brands, and they can help you whether you've got an idea of your own or you just want to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. Peter and his co-hosts and guests are here weekdays on Better Living Radio to discuss the ins and outs of creating, manufacturing, branding, and marketing the best of the big